Because this is a loft, there only is one space. You almost don't get the feeling that you're standing in Germany, but that you actually are living in Brooklyn or something. In the shower, you have all of these metal chrome handles. Over here is one of my favorites. You were just overwhelmed by the bold colors. Hi guys, welcome to InteriorInsights. I'm Jane, and today we are going to look at the incredible, bold, eclectic and colorful New York-inspired loft by Robert Neuendorf.
Hi guys, welcome to my crib. I'm Robert Neuendorf and I'm an interior designer and artist, and I'm very glad you're here today.
Join me as we take a look at the space together. At the end of this home tour, we will rate this home on the 4 most important aspects when it comes to interior design: light, color, functionality, and concept. So let's wait until the end of the video to find out how this home ranked. If you want to help me, pause this video right now and subscribe to the channel so that we can continue to show you the best design out there. And if you want to discover more behind the scenes content, go check out our Instagram. So as soon as we enter into the space, you can see what a magical and colorful world Robert has created. And you can really see in every detail all of the love that he has poured into this place. Because this is a loft, there only is one space, and when you enter, you are entering both the living room area as well as the bedroom. And the living room area consists of one Togo sofa chair in a bright red color, as well as one of the famous Eames designs, and that is the Eames chair. And this chair actually has really cool history. So usually when you see this chair, you think somebody just walked inside a store and got it, but he actually bought it off of a person when it was completely broken, and he fixed it up, and over years he found the second part, the ottoman, as well. And I really love that all of the design that you will see here today doesn't just come from a storefront, but has been collected throughout a lifetime, and every single piece has its own history. Over here is one of my favorites. It actually is an art piece by an artist, and he basically took a shopping cart, completely destroyed it and cut it up into pieces and then welded it together. And now you have this incredible sculpture and piece of art, but at the same time it acts as a column where you can put your things or your vases. And this is just a super cool piece that just shows and reflects the overconsumption of our society. He moved into this building around 7 years ago, and the building itself actually was built in the 1880s. And the historic function for it used to be that they would produce all of the coins in it. And so we are actually standing in Hamburg in the Münzviertel, which is a very historic place of Hamburg. You almost don't get the feeling that you're standing in Germany, but that you actually are living in Brooklyn or something. And Robert really managed to transport this Brooklyn brick, relaxed, laid-back atmosphere into his apartment. The apartment itself has around 80 square meters, and it is a loft. So there is one large space and a separate bathroom. And later I will also show you what the designer did to create a few different zones inside the empty space. And as soon as you come in, you were just overwhelmed by the bold colors that bring the space to life. And what I love about the space is that you have these historic walls to both sides. 2 walls are covered with these gorgeous historic arch windows that just give this very playful and round design language to the design. And within the apartment, Robert created this very modern, playful and bold world. And you can really see that all of the structure he added himself. He painted in bright colors so that you can really see what is the historic original architecture and what is part of the new design. Or another super cool item is this large overhead lamp by Floss that just has this very bold, angular design. And he also saw it once while he was on a trip in Italy and fell in love with it. And it took him a really long time to actually find it again in the exact same color. And sometimes you just have these very unexpected situations that lead to the best design. Now, whenever you have an open living space, you always have to really zone the different areas. And here the living room area is zoned by a large carpet that is lying very playful within the apartment. And you can really see that what creates the different areas within the apartment is color. So one part of the structure of the walls and the ceiling has been painted in this bright, almost neon yellow color, and this just really separates the two areas. And also, of course, there's a large column standing in the center. Now, when I first entered the apartment, I immediately saw this large mirror tile walls that I'm absolutely obsessed with. And it just creates this really in-depth layered design because you don't really know where the space ends. And these mirror tiles are actually the headboard of the bedroom area. And this is super cool because it just creates so many different reflections. And because we have a bunch of small mirror tiles, they're also not perfectly adding up. So you just have these infinite realities and atmospheres that take place in the space. It's time for our color palette analysis of Robert's incredible loft. So as soon as you walk inside this loft, you notice that it isn't about furniture, but it really is about color story. This space is built on a very clear and very confident, even kind of bold color palette, and we will uncover it right now. So the number one dominant color is this dark, rich ultramarine blue, which gives the space a lot of weight. It feels graphic, almost architectural, and it is even repeated throughout the apartment in letters. And then cutting through that deep and rich ultramarine blue, we have this very saturated yellow. The door, the ceiling band, it's optimistic, it's playful, but it's also slightly unexpected. Apparently, a lot of people who see Robert's home say that this color palette reminds them a lot of a certain furniture brand that everybody knows. Comment below if you know which one it is. Let me know if you also agree or not. I personally think it's not an issue. And so the base of the color palette is this blue and the yellow that are both high contrast colors. They feel loud together. What makes the space feel so bold and energetic is the fact that the color palette pulls from all four primary colors at once: blue, yellow, red, and green. Now, this is actually a color palette that is quite difficult to pull off, and it consists of using 4 colors evenly spaced on the color wheel. Now, as an interior designer, the number one question I get from you guys and also basically everybody out there is how to fix their color palette at home. And so I've collected the 5 biggest mistakes that 90% of people make when it comes to choosing and using color in their homes, and also how to fix them. If you are one of the few people whose color palette is already perfect, then congrats. You are one of the few. If not, you can grab my free guide by scanning the QR code. That means you can just take out your phone, open the camera app, or of course you can just click the link in the description. What really is the underlying theme in the apartment is that there just is this very strong, playful atmosphere. And the interior designer, Robert, his line for this apartment or also for his work is "form follows fun." And I feel like you can really see this throughout the design. One of my favorite pieces also is this small crocodile that he found while he was on a trip in Cuba, and through a bunch of arrangements after he managed to actually buy it in Germany and have somebody bring it here. And it just has this very strong, playful design, and everything inside this apartment really reminds me of the Memphis movement and of just using strong, bold colors and simple forms and geometries. And I feel like he really managed to translate this inspiration into his own design language. Also, another favorite of his, where whoever visits this apartment is always surprised, is he loves to collect letters. And so 15 years ago, while working next to a harbor, he saw all of these different letters, and he kept trying to figure out a cool and fun combination if you could just rearrange the letters. And well, you can see the result for yourself. Now, a few years ago, when there was a need to create a separate bedroom for a child, Robert spent a lot of time thinking about how he could create an extra room within this loft without taking away the very open and grand nature of the space. And so after some time, he came up with the idea to just create this round arched room. And I think that this is just an absolutely incredible solution, because you don't have the feeling of space being taken off the room, but instead you just have this very new, round, soft geometry that also really suits this fun and playful and simple design language. And of course, it also really mimics the gorgeous arched windows of this historic brick building. And again, you just are reminded in what kind of historic structure you are living in. The kids' room has a very unique shape because it is surrounded by this large curved wall that makes up the inside. And to maximize the space there is, the bed has been elevated all the way to the top, and a ladder connects up to it so that you just have all of this extra space to play in the ground, and then when you want to go to sleep, you just go all the way up. And this is a super cool and unique solution. I love that when it gets darker and you turn on the lights, you still have this visual connection, and the shape of the glass tiles really pops because it just becomes much more dynamic as soon as the lights are turned on. He decided to paint these new walls in a dark blue color so that you can see that they don't belong to the historic structure of the building. And I absolutely love the combination of this dark marine blue and the almost neon yellow. Comment below if you like it or not. A lot of people previously said that it reminds them of IKEA, but in my personal opinion, I would never think that. I think it's a super cool color combination. Over here we have the bathroom, and the bathroom is one long and narrow space, and it has been clad entirely in white tiles, like a lot of the apartments that we have in Hamburg, and it is a very minimalist space. And what I think is really cool about the design is that in the shower you have all of these metal chrome handles that just give the space a lot of opportunity, and that's a very cool and industrial design aspect. Throughout the apartment you can see his love for designers like InteriorInsights or also Panton, because they have a very playful and fun design language. And over here we actually have a limited edition standing of a Panton chair, and it is kept in this chrome color, and it just again really cites all of these mirror reflected areas within the apartment, and it's just super cool. And I always think it's really fascinating how simple things like having a column in the center of the room or having a super cool swing on the side already create a sense of having two separate rooms or two separate areas, even though everything is completely open and connected to each other. In this part of the loft, we are facing the courtyard, and when we look outside, we can see the gorgeous historic brick facades of the buildings around us. And it just makes you feel like you are living in Brooklyn or someplace that is even cooler than Hamburg. And over here we have a vintage brown upholstered lounge chair that just has this very 70s style. And another really cool thing is the sofa table that is basically a Rubik's Cube that has just been enlarged by a multitude of times. And this is just a very fun and playful design. Over here there is the kitchen, and the kitchen itself consists of one long sleek kitchen counter that is covered with stainless steel, and on top of it there's a coffee machine that is also in stainless steel, and everything just gives you this very industrial and rustic feel. And I also really like that you have these very simple, sleek lines, like these simple design choices that make the design even better because you don't have too many complicated things or shapes standing around. In front of us there is the dining room area, and there's a large vintage table. The black color of the table paired with the black lamp really grounds the space and gives it a very almost mysterious energy. But then we have all of these neon orange hard plastic chairs around them, and it just looks super cool because you just have this very strong color palette. And I can imagine that anything that you put on this black table, whether it's fruit, food, or just different ceramics, just really pops off of the black background. The only original wall that we have standing in the loft is this one that is right in the center of the room, and at the same time the space is connected from both sides. And this is actually really cool. So basically when you enter into the apartment, you enter a walk-in wardrobe that just opens up, and then around it to both sides you can then enter the apartment, and on the other side there's the kitchen. So this is just this very smart and efficient use of space, and I think that is really unique. Over here is Robert's creative space. So he loves to play miniature tabletop games, and he loves to collect all of the different figures for it and paint them also. And what I think is super fascinating is that he loves to also create these entire worlds for these games, like houses or basically anything else. And he creates and upcycles these from trash or just different broken objects that he finds lying around. Okay, now let's rate this apartment on the 4 key aspects of interior design on a scale from 1 to 10. First up, color. Now, we already talked excessively about this incredible color palette, and that's why I would give it a straight 10 out of 10, because I really love the subtle balance, the bold, daring colors, and just all of the colors in between that just beautifully tie this color palette together. Next, we have lighting. So one thing that is great about this loft is that it is really optimized for light. Because we don't have too many windows, Robert decided to place this giant mirror wall behind his bed, which just adds a lot of reflection and just really makes the space feel much brighter than it is. But I would still give the light an 8 out of 10, just because I think there still is some light missing in such a large room. And I think you could just really add a lot of small indirect light sources throughout the apartment to just really make it come to life. Now, functionality. So for the functionality, I think Robert has created a really cohesive and cool floor plan in one single room, which already kind of is a work of art. The natural limitation, of course, is that it is one room, so you don't have any privacy. But I also really like this round niche that Robert has created for his child to just create this extra room without disturbing the natural flow of the loft. So I think I would also give it an 8 out of 10. And of course, now the most important part, the concept and story. And there I would also give it a 10 out of 10, because I'm absolutely in love with all of the bold color choices that Robert took, with all of the inspiration and years and effort that he's put into this apartment, and all of the incredible vintage iconic designer pieces that he's collected throughout the years. And that is the dedication that it needs to create an incredible design. Now that you know my rating, comment your scores below. Definitely comment what you thought of this loft. I absolutely loved it. I think it was one of my all-time favorites that we've ever filmed. And if you like this video, you will love this one up here.